Okay guys, so today I'm going to show you how to turn this into something that sounds more like this. So it is super simple. What we're doing is basically we're doing a 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression. So in the key of C, that's C, 1, A for 6, then we got the F chord, and then the G major chord for our 5th chord. So what we can do to elevate this from going from this is we can incorporate something called inversions. So basically inversions, if you're not familiar with, we want to bridge the gap between the notes. So we want to bring these two chords as possible to one another, so we have to move less with our hand. So what can we do to this so it's more similar to this? I would say we can bring this note down the octave over here, so it turns into this. So that's our C major chord. And this is our A minor chord, the next chord that comes up. So from this, we've now turned it into this. So the only movement we have to do between the C major chord now is just move our thumb up a note. And we're gonna do the same for the next chord, which is the F chord over here. But this is actually pretty close. So we can do this one. And why did I choose that one? Because we're here in the A minor chord. And we basically just want to form this chord over here. So what's the simplest way to move from here to this chord is, I think, if we move that an octave. So now this becomes this. Yeah? So we have, so far, we've got and now we need the G chord, which is going to be this one. So let's go from our F chord. I figure that the G would sound quite well like that. And then you can come back to the root position. But there's another way. You don't always have to do inversions in terms of which one's the closest note. I think in terms of the G over here, so from it being to the F, this sounds a bit too bright for my liking, so I think I'm just gonna move it down to the root position, which is gonna be here. And kind of play this. So we're from the F again. Then we're gonna move our hand over here to the G chord. And then we're gonna play the C major chord. And the easiest way to play the C major chord again from here would be like that. So, and I would heavily recommend not to end your chord progression with the root position of the inversion. It just sounds too basic, whilst if you play this, it immediately sounds a lot more elevated and a lot better. So let's kind of put this together, what we've got so far. So remember, we're doing this. This is our C major chord. Okay, so now what can we do to elevate that even more? So we've added a few inversions over here. That sounds good. So now what we can do is we can add a few extensions. So when we say extensions, I mean we can add the 7th or we can add the 9th. What I mean by adding the 7th is, let's say we're in the key of C major, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is our 7th degree of the scale. And this is what I mean when I say 7th. So let's say we want a C major 7th chord. This is what we're going to play. This is a basic triad. And we just want to add the 7th as well, which is the B. So we'll play this. This is a C major 7th chord. Now there's a lot of ways to play this C major 7th chord. So we can do inversions, we can play it like that. And then again, reposition. But anyways, we don't want to overcomplicate that too much. And when I say add 9th, what I mean realistically is just adding the 2nd note in the chord. So when I say let's play a C major add 9, I mean we're just adding the 9th, which this is our basic triad, and we're just adding the 2nd note of the chord. So this is gonna be a C major add 9th chord. And it sounds really beautiful, so listen to that. Immediately sounds a lot better than this one. And if we add it here in our inversion, it sounds a lot more elevated. And if we decide to go for the C major 7th chord, basically we're in this position over here. It would just be that. Because remember, this is the C major triad, and we're just adding the 7th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have that one. Let's add the 7th in for now. And now we have the A minor chord. So the easiest thing to do to that A minor chord is basically just add the 9th, and we are kind of already pressing it in the C major 7th chord. So we would just have to do this. So you see, all I did here was I just move my thumb up. So from the G, I go to the A. And now we've got the F major chord, this one that we did like that in our inversion. But I would actually recommend it for the sake of this episode right now and you practicing it. It's a lot easier to play it in root position. And to enhance it, we're gonna add the 7th. So remember, we're now in the F major chord. So we're talking about the 7th of the F major. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're just gonna add this then. We're gonna add an E. So from this, it's turned into this. And if you want to play it in the position that we played earlier, which is this one, you just have to add the E over here. So let's try and play it so far with what we did. So this is gonna be the C major 7th, then A minor add 9th, then F major 7th, and now we've got the G major coming up, which is this one. And really simple thing to add over here, we can just add the add 9th and it's gonna sound a lot more elevated. So let's recap it, what we did for the G major over here. We're just adding the 9th. And then we're going back to the 1, which is the C major chord, and we can play like that. or you can add the 7th as well. So let me play that for you again. So we're starting from the C major, A minor at 9th, F major 7th, so G major at 9th, and C major 7th. So we turn this into something more elevated, which now sounds like this. Sounds a lot better, doesn't it?